Welcome to the Rail Technology Magazine podcast, everybody, where we shine the light on people, partnerships and innovations shaping our industry. I'm Roy Rowlands, Director of Cognitive Media Group, owners of Rail Technology Magazine and Trans-City Rail. And I'm really excited to have with me today Lucy Pryor, who's the first guest on the new revamped podcast. Lucy is brilliant. Lucy Pryor, OBE, Business Development Lead for Octavius Infrastructure. So welcome to the podcast, Lucy.
Hello, thank you. And I'm sorry, I have to start with the correction. I'm only an M. I'm not an O. That's Maggie and Elaine.
Oh, right. Sorry.
So I still beat my Blue Peter badge because I'm still embarrassed talking about it. So I've got Blue Peter badge, let's say.
Oh, good. Blue Peter badge, the very elusive. I don't think I've ever met anyone with a Blue Peter badge, actually.
Well, my son's got one. I still don't. My son's got a green Blue Peter badge, which I'm like supremely proud of.
Wow. I always wanted one as a kid, but I was never prepared to put the legwork in and send something in for them to review.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry about that. But hello, and thank you for having me. Thank you, Roy.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I will start by saying though, Lucy, I think it's fair to say that during your time in rail, you've built quite the network. That's evident from social media, and that's evident from when I see you out and about at events. You're clearly incredibly highly thought of by your peers, and whenever I see you at events, you're either hugging a friend or being hugged, which I think says it all. And so before we get into it, I bet many listening won't know that we both started our careers as in business development as recruitment consultants. I could see from your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
And it's strange then that we both found our way in the rail industry. So it is a very small world.
It is, yeah. It's and I mean, shout out to anyone working in recruitment, because that is a hardcore job to do, isn't it? It's difficult.
Yeah. I must admit, I loved it. It was 3-4 of the most formative years of my career. I worked with some incredible people, but yeah, it wasn't them for the faint-hearted. I joined in the late 90s, right the way to 2002, 2003, and I think recruitment's a very different space today than it was back then, though.
Yeah, I think it's highly professionalised. I was actually working in recruitment for chefs and catering staff.
Right.
So you can imagine some of the characters I've met. And if a chef hasn't put his timesheet in on a Friday and he's upset and he's not been paid on a Monday, you don't want to be meeting him on that Monday morning. And I've done that a few times. But it also means that I've done some like swanky stages in like Michelin starred restaurants and triple rosette places. So yeah, I can do a pretty good pastry section in a restaurant as well. So I've hopefully got that to fall back on if I ever need to. Hopefully never, though.
Well, that's a lot more exciting than my recruitment story. It was IT contract for legacy IBM mainframe systems that were being phased out in financial institutions. So I'd have to learn a new skill, I think.
Yeah, that's like 2 different languages there, isn't it? Bless you. Aren't we happy we're in rail?
I love it. Yeah,
me too.
There's 3 parts to our business as Cognitive Media Group: public sector, the rail industry, and the health service. And the business is split equally between the 3 of them. But the rail is the one where it just feels like it's the most family oriented, it's the most friendly, it's the most diverse, it's the most likely to go out and network and just have conversations with people.
Yeah, and hugs.
And hugs. Yeah, lots of hugs. Which is maybe where the public sector is going wrong right now. It needs a big hug. So let's look at you then, Lucy. Who is Lucy Pryor? What brought you to the rail industry, and what's kept you here for so long?
Well, like a gazillion other people, I got here by accident. My kind of nutshell stories: I avoided growing up for as long as possible. So I had a 4-year university job. I've had a couple of double gap years. Basically, I just avoided being a grown-up with a proper job for a long time. And then after my 3rd stint in South America, I'm like, I really need to start earning some money now. I did a degree in languages. Came back to Blighty, thought, right, I'll sit down, I'll do 2 years in said recruitment company, and then I'm going to look for a job that I really want to do, because recruitment was good, but it was hard work and all hours. And I literally went to a recruitment consultancy in Sheffield, where home is, that specialise in placing language speakers in professional roles. I said, I want a job where I'm selling good things in foreign languages, because that's something that's run all the way through, and it's something that's helped me be really lucky, I think, in all the jobs that I've had in rail. Something where I'm selling something I believe in foreign languages. Then I got my first role, which was at Meccan, working with Richard Carr, who a lot of people know. Day one on the job was travelling down south. Day two on the job was stood at Innertrans on Meccan stand, trying to sell jacks to the foreign market, and never looked back.
Wow. What an induction into the rail industry at Innertrans.
Tell me about it. Wow. I'm literally what's a jack to start with of this? My dad was a lorry mechanic, so obviously I knew what a jack was, but I'd never seen a jack that big. And I'm trying to sell it in French and Spanish to the likes of Renfe and SNCF and stuff, because it was an export sales role. And then after a year or so, we realised that export sales, it's quite a long process. So then Richard moved me on to domestic sales as well. And that's probably one of the reasons why I'm still in rail now, because I kind of shadowed our engineering director, a gorgeous older guy who's now retired, called Graham Cofield, total legend. And I went round goodness knows how many depots in the UK. So I've been under trains, over trains, inside ins, doing all sorts of things, but properly got to see train maintenance, let's say, right from the coalface, and just met brilliant people. And it's the brilliant people which have seen me all the way through. So I do have a good network, but that's because I know just a heck of a lot of really good, lovely people who really care about what they do, who I'm really happy that they stay in touch with me and will suffer a hug and a selfie every now and again. But it is, and it's we've got a really lovely community in railway. How many years have I known you, Roy? One of my favourite conversations with you was gosh, when was it? Years ago. You were doing a conference that was themed more around social value. Do you remember the one with lovely? I can't remember the lady's name. It'll come back. Alice. I was on stage with Alice from Skanska, and that was a social value themed conference before social value was the thing that it is now. But the link into all of that is how railway can support society and people. So it can support communities, it can support regions, it can support individuals, whether it's your job or whether it's your way of getting to your job. And it kind of wraps into all of that. And then obviously there's the environmental benefit of public transport as well. So there are a million reasons, that I'm still in rail. And next year will be my 20th year in rail.
Wow.
So yeah. I mean, I'm allowed to look 21, but
it'll actually be my 23rd next year. Yeah, next May. You saying that you now?
24 then.
Yeah. I have to make 25 years. Maybe they'll have to celebrate that at TCR.
Oh, definitely.
Joint celebration. I think it's fair to say though that you've always got stuck in anything that you're doing, and again that will be down to the influence, the longevity that you've had in rail, because you've always been there to help. You've always been there for a conversation, and you've always been there to share opinions and help connect people as well. And I think if you've experienced such kindness over the years as you've just described, then it's natural to I think pass that on, and it certainly seems to come natural to you.
Yeah, one of my mantras is pay it forward. It absolutely pay it forward.
Yeah, I agree, and I think what comes around goes around, and you get what you ask for, don't you, in life. You've had a number of high-profile roles across the sector over the years, which you just explained some of them then. So what have you learned along the way, and which aspects have you enjoyed the most?
I'll always go back to people. So wherever I've worked, it's been with brilliant people and taking time to understand them and what makes them tick. So whether that's your colleagues or your clients or your stakeholders, it's all about people. and sorry, what was the next bit of the question? I missed. It's like, it's all people for me.
Yeah. So what have you learned along the way, and which aspects have you enjoyed the most? But I think it's evident, isn't it? It's the people that you've worked with and the stuff that you've learned, the opportunities that you've been given.
Yeah. And then like an added benefit of knowing such wonderful people is because I am not an engineer. I've just said I did languages at university, and out. Even I talk about business development and stakeholder management. It's sales, isn't it? It's representing the good stuff that the company you represent does.
Yeah.
But no end of way clever people than me have helped me along the way. So if I need to ask a question about OLE engineering, I know who to go to. If I need to ask a question about coupler design, I know who to go to. And you can ask those questions and not get laughed at. It's that safety in your community. It's lovely.
Yeah. I think that some of the events that we've done, some of the panels, the conversations that we've had, we've only been able to achieve and deliver those things because we've this network of people around us, people who we can go to as sounding boards and ask questions. And like as you just described, then no one's too busy to help ever.
Yeah. And like, so you very, very kindly had me on the panel at one of the TCR North panels years back now. And just in terms of the people who were on the panel with me, and then Helen Fossborough, who does all your MCing, let's call it. I mean, blooming heck, she doesn't half do her prep.
Yeah, she does.
She takes the time to understand, again, what makes the panelists tick. And it's that willingness to share information and knowledge for the greater good.
You've always given so much back to the industry, though, as well, it's fair to say. You've volunteered with various organisations within rail. You've championed causes, and most recently becoming an independent advisor for the Mental Wealth Company. Incredible stuff. But what drives you to give so much back, and how on earth do you find the time?
Be, can you? It's So, I mean, my line manager, shout out to Dave Bedell, my line manager, who's just fab. We kind of totted up the different things that I support, and that can be as light touch as just helping share their posts on LinkedIn, and that can be done anytime. But so, for example, Mental Wealth Company, if you get your teeny tiny little violin out, because it's just part of my story, because of the nature of the industry right now, let's say, and the nature of the nation's finances. I, like a lot of other people, got made redundant at the beginning of this year. I, like probably not as many people, I'm lucky that I've got that gorgeous network of gorgeous people. A Mental Wealth Company gave me an interim contract, so 6 months working for on a set term basis, went to McChrystal, that is. And so on leaving to move to this permanent role at Octavius, I couldn't not want to still help, because just the power of supporting one another's well-being in whatever capability or perspective. So again, it's like touch. I'm helping Wendy in different ways. Kind of, I help her with her marketing bit in my own time every weekend, and that's just because I really, really believe in what she does. I had the fortune to deliver a workshop on her behalf at Ray Live. I'm talking about psychological safety. I just talked about earlier about being able to ask anybody those stupid questions and feeling safe to do so. It's that importance of creating that environment where people feel safe, not just to ask questions, but just to be. And so I do a little bit in a bob for Mental Wealth Company in my own time. I've recently joined Women in Rail's Communications Committee, because they do fantastic stuff. And I've always been I don't do anything formally with railway children, but what they do, I've met, there's a lady called Gaynor Little, who's kind of one of the outreach workers for railway children, and the story she's told me about the families she's worked with when the charity working with the BTP have identified a kid at risk in a station, because kids who are runaways or homeless or whatever their situation is, it's quite often that they will go towards a station because it's open 24 hours practically.
Yeah.
It's always lit. There's always a toilet. So even just for very, very basic needs, it's somewhere natural for kids to go to.
Yeah.
But the railway children, the BTP, and the train operating staff as well, let's not forget the TOCs. So many different people are trained in then spotting. That kid shouldn't be here at that time of day or shouldn't be on that train. Like the kids they're saving from county lines work, for example.
Yeah.
Why would you not want to help something like that? And like Dave Ellis, when he was there, he told the story so well. So getting to know people like Gaynor and Dave when he was there and understanding what the charity does. And I will never do it again, but I've done 3 Peaks a couple of times. And in the prep for that, the first time round, I was actually watching one of their videos. And I started playing the video to my daughter, who at the time was probably only about 12. And halfway through I had to stop because it's a very honest video.
Yeah.
And it was going down to kind of the grooming and slavery routes that some younger people are at risk of. And it's like, yeah, I'm rubbish at walking up mountains, certainly with any speed. And the people in my first team and second team will absolutely vouch for that. But it's worth a few blisters to think that maybe the money between us has saved 1 or 2 kids.
Yeah.
I'm welling up, but if people don't already know Railway Children, please go and look at them and please watch the videos on the website and get involved.
Yeah, 100%. We've been supporting the Railway Children all year. This year, so we introduced silent auctions at the networking dinners we do. And we've done that in partnership with an organisation called Impulse Decisions, I think they're called, and there's a percentage of all revenues generated from silent auctions at all the dinners, which has gone off to the Railway Children for 2025. You know, people just need a leg up, and you know, something as similar as you were saying before with a mental health company and psychological assistance, people getting over those barriers of being nervous of asking a question, which might transform their career if they get the right answer and the right advice, or you know, being able to stop children from being groomed, or even like the work that we do in Rail Safe Friendly and the Learn Live team, you know, spreading that message about safety on the railways. And when I was asked to become an ambassador, I spoke to my daughter about railways and safety, and she's like, "But Dad, we don't live near a railway, and I would never think to go on one anyway." I said, "Well, no, you might not, but what happens if you're with friends that do think, and you do, as you get older, go closer to a railway line when you're out hanging about, and these are the things that you need to be aware of." And and I was sat in the school school hall whilst we was having the induction when all the children started, and they were going through all the things that they're involved with, and the big Rail Safe Friendly line involved was there. But I think what that team does is incredible, because they've taken a really difficult story, and you know, Liz Ballantyne, the mother behind the whole thing.
She's such a brave lady, isn't she? She's
incredible.
Phenomenal.
To see an opportunity to create something so positive out of something so catastrophic, I just think is incredible resolve. And especially when, you know, we've all got problems, we've all got difficulties, we've all got challenges, and then you've got that lady who just says, no, it's not going to be for nothing, we're going to get some good out of this. It's, you know, it's a real inspiration.
Yeah, she's a wonderful person. And what I love about that team is how they work with teachers. So they're teaching the teachers how to perpetually deliver that message. Because, you know, I remember the olden days when I was at school, we did have rail safety education. I lived in Mexborough, and there was a railway line went right through our town. Yeah. We don't have the Green Cross Code for railways. No. And where I live now in Sheffield, the tram lines are at the bottom of the kids' school road. I'm like, why aren't we talking about this? Yeah. So I agree with everything she does.
There's so many dangers that we're not talking about. We don't have Wellington anymore, do we? You know, and telling you to put your jeans over your Wellington boots on bonfire night. Yes. We don't have the Charlie Says public information videos about not flying your kite too close to pylon lines, or not flying them near pylon lines at all. And this is the responsibility of parents like us to give this information to our children. But what about our children when they're growing up and they didn't grow up in the 80s and they weren't privy to all of these public information videos? there's a big job and there's a big responsibility, I think, on the shoulders of all adults in this country right now, just to help children and make them flourish, because it's corny, but they are the future, and we all depend on them. So let's look after them.
Definitely. And I am sorry, you have put a Prodigy earworm in my head as well. We're both dance music fans, so I couldn't not.
Well, speaking of the Prodigy, I'm actually off to see the Prodigy in April next year.
Oh, I don't know if I can without Keith. I've seen him a few times, but
the big draw for me is Carl Cox. Carl Cox is DJing as well. And I mentioned something. I created a song for Trans-City Rail using AI the other day, and I put that on LinkedIn, and I put it to a techno beat. And I'd said something about Carl Cox, and one of our other customers, Hayley Preedy over at Netcall, she commented on to say, well, I'll be seeing Carl in April, so I'll be sure to play the track for him. I said, you're not going to the Prodigy by any chance, are you? Because I'll be there. I'll be the guy at the front with the TCR glow stick.
I need photos of that.
Oh, don't worry, they'll be finding their way onto LinkedIn for sure.
Excellent.
So then, as everyone will be able to see, you're now at Octavius Infrastructure, which has got to be incredibly exciting. And we're doing this on the big news of the acquisition as well by RSK, which I'm sure is equally as exciting. So tell us a bit about what Octavius does within the industry, Lucy.
I've been fortunate to work in some really brilliant companies over these last 20 years. And I put a post out on LinkedIn a few days ago. I've been there a few weeks now, had my formal induction, which involves a full introduction to this thing called Stop Think campaign, which it's around health and safety, but it's also well-being and inclusivity and honestly, it was just a brilliant induction program. But I've just been made to feel so welcome by so many people now. I work from home, so it's a fully remote position. I'm in BD, so like you, traveling all over the country, but my office is now properly at home. But I do not feel isolated in the slightest. Just the tech setup straight away, it's all there working for you. People just make you feel so welcoming. And I nipped down, so I was in Reigate on Monday, where the headquarters are. And then I was in Puddledock, which is the office that we share with Network Rail for SRE, Southern Rail Ecosystem SID. And it's just really nice. And then as a company, what they do, so we've got two verticals, highways and rail. It's my tendency to talk about transport anyway, because everything's interconnected. I've got an amazing counterpart in highways called Mike Todd. We're actively talking about what we're each involved in. So we've got the BD, sorry, my beeps are going off now. So we've got the BD, and then we've got Lloyd, who heads up the pre-construction, pre-delivery team, and then the framework guys. And it's all just tied in so nicely that we all talk to one another. And what we do in rail is, so we've got a framework on each of the regions that's set for Scotland, and they are electrification and plant or building and civils. That's something else we excel at and that we do really widely, and this grew in Monty and Wessex, is access for all stations.
Right, yeah.
So we talked about the importance of people earlier. Our AFA stations are phenomenal, and it's just, as I'm learning, so there's a lot I don't yet know about Octavius, and I'm like a kid in a sweet shop. I'm on our website and I'm on our SharePoint learning new things every day about the things that we deliver. So look at Oakhampton station. It's like one of the biggest stations I think that we've been involved in, but we're on time, we're on budget, and then as an organisation we're already carbon neutral, and we do some of that by offsetting because we've still got some residual scope 3s we've got to sort out, but we are committed to being net zero by 2035 ahead of the 2050 promises. So in terms of that organisational culture, as an individual joining the team, it's fantastic. The schemes that we deliver for the public are just wonderful, led by wonderful people. And then in terms of our role in society and our impact on the environment, it's managed brilliantly. There's a lady called Kat Cliff who I'm yet to get to know very well, but her, what's the phrase? Her reputation definitely does precede her. I met her very briefly. she's come in from major projects beforehand, coming into Octavius. So she's kind of really spearheaded everything that we're doing in that area. And you can just feel it filters through everything that we do in a formal way. But then speaking to some of my colleagues who've been here a longer time, a fair amount of time, let's say. So before Sullivan Street Partners bought Octavius is now, who were Osborne's. So I've got a lot of colleagues who worked when it was Osborne's who have stayed. I mean, that says something anyway.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I think it was Lawrence, one of the framework directors. He's like, we do really good stuff in social value, but it's not tick box. We just do this anyway.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how happy I am. All those things you've talked about. It's wonderful. Honestly, it's a wonderful organisation doing really good things. And I know I sound evangelical, but I'm really proud of them. Really proud to be part of the team. And then, we've got the RSK news, and I'm still learning about that as well. But RSK is a company I've been following for years because they've got such massive sustainability credentials themselves as well. So my sweet shop's just got bigger, let's say.
Yeah.
So I could say.
I mean, it's all really exciting stuff, and it just strikes me as it's easier to do good things in life and in business than it is to cut corners. Because when you're cutting corners, you're always putting a plaster on something somewhere. Yeah. It seems, and the access for all thing, hugely important, and I've never had to use it, fortunately, because I'm able-bodied. I've got my vision. I'm very fortunate. But a couple of years ago, we last minute invited an inspirational speaker. The inspirational speaker that we had booked, something came up, they could no longer participate. And right at the last minute, Helen, who you mentioned before, the host of TCR, said, I know a guy called Amar Latif. He's won Bake Off and he runs his own assisted travel company. But he's blind. We were in Birmingham at the time. He's based over in Leeds, I think. She said, shall I give him a call, see if he can do it? Anyway, he just said, yeah, I'll jump on a train and I'll be there. And I'm thinking, wow, this is incredible. This chap's blind. He's going to chuck on his black tie, his dinner jacket. He's going to jump on a train. And I just had to meet him at International Station, Birmingham International Station. The staff were there from the operator before I was to meet him at the door, at the carriage that he was booked. The whole thing was absolutely seamless. And that doesn't happen by accident. That happens through people caring and people wanting to look after one another. And I think that's really important to flag, because I think a lot of people say, oh, trains are this, trains are that. It's very difficult to navigate. But I've seen it firsthand just how well they look after people, and it's really important to make it accessible for all, because we've all got places to go.
And isn't it nice that gentleman had the dignity of independence?
Yeah, I mean, 100%.
There's a lot still to do. Some parts of the industry are better at it than others, but where people are involved in it, they don't half try and make a difference. And to give people that independence of travel, that's what travel is about. That's what proper transport is about. It's about helping anybody, irrespective of their needs, travel independently.
And technology is a great enabler, and the industry is really embracing technology. I think there's a real tech revolution happening across the rail sector right now, which is great to see, because that's going to help in so many different ways. But Amma was telling me about, it doesn't stop there for him. He'll go and do his shopping, and he might go with a friend or someone to assist him, and he'll put stuff in the fridge and he'll cook his own food, and he just looks after himself. But every now and again he's a bit concerned whether the chicken might be on the turn or not, and he can't quite remember what the date is. So there's a cool app that he can dial up. He can FaceTime a group of volunteers. A volunteer will answer the call and say, yeah, let's have a look in your fridge then. Left a bit, right a bit. Oh, zoom in there. Oh, no, you got another 2 days on that chicken. That's incredible.
Good. That's cool.
Yeah, really, really good.
Well, it's like, so I mentioned my dad. My mum, she used to be a teacher at Doncaster Deaf College. So of all things, she taught upholstery and soft furniture. My dad's a mechanic. My mum's a teacher in how to make curtains. I'm nothing like either of them. But like having grown up in and around a mum that spoke BSL, you say speak BSL. So I think it's really wonderful now when you go to stations and there is live commentary in BSL on the platform, because it's nigh on impossible to understand how hard it is for somebody else when you don't have that lived experience yourself. So it's really important that as an industry we do bring in the opinions, experiences, knowledge of others to make sure that our transport does serve them properly.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the rail industry is doing a great job, better than ever, looking outside of the sector for lessons learned to see what we can bring in. Because, you know yourself, if you work for an organisation and you're within an isolated team, if you don't go outside of your core people to ask questions and figure stuff out, you just end up doing the same stuff, and that's not good.
Oh, can I tell you a little heartwarming moment then?
Yeah, do, yeah.
So a couple of weeks ago, I delivered a lunch and learn for YRP for the young rail professionals. This amazing group of people from the YRP East Midlands group, and there was one lady there who is an industrial designer, and I hope I'm right to say this, she talked about it publicly there. She has dyslexia, and so she doesn't read because of her dyslexia, so it's audiobooks. The pride that she had when she was talking about seeing one of her designs actually transferred onto a train seat was wonderful. But she was talking about, sometimes she's a bit nervous to ask questions. So I asked one of the engineers, how do you feel when a non-engineer asks you a question about the thing that you're designing? And their answer was instantaneous, it's the best thing.
Yeah.
And he was then like, if people don't ask you questions, and you can't make sure you're modifying your design, it's like, you don't know that what you're building is right. So to see somebody in the early stages of their career being so enthusiastic about having their own preconceptions challenged by being asked, it was wonderful. It was really wonderful.
There's tons of great stories out there. I've got a heartwarming one from TCR in Manchester a couple of weeks ago. As you know, we always support apprentices. We fully fund 10 tickets for the day, 10 tickets at night, so they can experience an event like that. And for us, I figure that in 5 to 10 years from now, they're potentially going to be future leaders and they're going to be speaking on the stage. There's great value for them in their careers in experiencing an event like that. There's not necessarily commercial value from their employers, but the value is in the experience and the insight it gives them. But on this particular year, this panel, I mean, they've always been fantastic, and these kids have always got great stories. I think at almost 46, I can refer to apprentices now as these kids. But there was one young lady, and she had 19% attendance at school because it wasn't for her, severe ADHD, and she went on stage and very, very bravely shared her story. But it's no surprise the confidence that she's got and the opportunities that she's carved out for herself. She's now I think, assistant commercial manager on the TIU project, and it's like, that's an incredible story. Yeah, school wasn't for her, but clearly work is, and forging a career and doing great stuff in the rail sector really suits her, and it's just fabulous to hear.
And that's like a really interesting topic to touch on as well, the fact that you don't have to have this linear route into a career. You don't have to, like we were talking earlier before we hit record, like my daughter's in GCSE year, the different ways in which people can access careers and what the post-16 options are. And certainly in railway there has been a shift in conversation about that and the importance of apprenticeships and on-the-job learning, and it's really good to see.
Yeah, definitely it is. Things are changing all the time and changing for the better, 100%. So going back a bit then to Octavius and from your perspective on the business development side then, how do businesses deliver commercial growth through frameworks and partnerships and truly client-led solutions, I think, is the key.
Yeah. Well, when we talk about frameworks, I just have to shout out our framework directors, so Isaias, James and Lawrence. That is their bag and that is where they excel. I'm on the BD side of the business. I'm forward-looking, longer term projects in which we can get involved. And in all of it, it's partnership. I think the days of the transactional relationship are, dare I say it, dead. You've got to have it goes back to people. It goes back to understanding what your client need is, but that's not just your contractual client, it's the end user. So again, if a station's being built, who's going to be using it now and who's going to be using it 5-10 years in the future? What passive provision can you put in to make sure that that station can evolve as community needs evolve? And when you look at East West Rail as forever been presented as a socio-economic project rather than a railway project, and I utterly agree with that. I was at an event just a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking. It was a light rail event over in Leeds, and it was a gentleman from the West Yorkshire Combined Authority talking about mass transit, light rail in general, where you have a tram line, for example. Your carbon dioxide emissions go down, your public health is better, you've got better access to easier and probably cheaper transport to work. You don't have to use a private car, but then also residents in and around that tram line, property values go up. So wrapped in and around all of this, I think we have to look perhaps at how we assess the value of a project, because it has much better knock-on effects than you might just address in straightforward VFM or return on investments. And I think certainly as we do talk more and more about community transport, connected transport, and as we shift towards GBR considerations, I think that is going to be a shift in mindset that's going to be necessary.
100%. And I think that devolution it has been a great game changer for the whole country, because that has given combined authorities vision and ambition, and it's given the ability, and it's empowered them to think about how they might run projects differently within their communities. What is the socio-economic impact? If you look at, I'm Manchester born and bred, so if you look at what we've got in the B network in Manchester Combined Authority and the success of the Metrolink over the years, and now the buses, before we all started working remotely as an organisation, on the strength of the success of the B network, the buses and the Metrolink, I actually sold my car and just
that's brilliant.
Because I getting into Manchester driving, it was an absolute nightmare. It was getting on for taking me an hour and a half to do a 12-mile journey. That's dead time. Sure, I could listen to a podcast, I can listen to the radio, there's lots of things I can listen to, but there's not a great deal I can do. So I just and I was saying this actually to Chris Nutton a few months ago in an interview similar to this. I just trialled it one day. I got myself a day pass, walked to the bus stop, jumped on the bus. That took me to the tram. Got the tram from Bury into Manchester. And I thought, this is absolutely brilliant. I said to myself, give me a year, I could probably complete Netflix like this.
But then we'll link that up then. So Sheffield Super Tram. I love being able to catch the tram, and it is a really good system. But I have to make sure that I can time my connections between, let's say, school run and the connecting train I'm going to get, or if we lump it up a little bit, I very, very rarely drive to Manchester, because travelling across the Hope Valley by train is A, much prettier, and B, a whole lot less stressful. And I'm glad that it's running a lot more smoothly these days, let's say, because it's much preferable to drive in.
100%. It's just more enjoyable, and even from a social element as well. If we go to my sister-in-law, she lives in Hertfordshire, and for me, the holiday starts as soon as you get on the train, because you can have a beer, you can have a glass of wine, you can have a sandwich, and you can't do that when you're driving. There's laws against it, and it's frowned upon, quite rightly so.
If I am travelling to Manchester by train, because my train goes right onto the airport, there's no end of happy holiday makers on there.
I was coming back from London after TCR South on the Friday, and it was the day of the first day of the Oasis concert at Heaton Park. Well, the train was absolutely chocker full of Oasis fans that had come far and wide travelling up from London to Manchester. And you know what? it was just an amazing atmosphere.
Yeah.
Everybody was in a really good mood. Everybody was excited. I didn't see, people who were too drunk or people who were aggressive. I just saw happy people,
Yeah.
which I think sometimes when you see people in the car, they look quite miserable and grumpy when they stuck at another set of lights.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about apprentices before, and so then, we agree that they're really important to the sector, but what skills, what mindset then does the industry need to attract in young people, to retain and then retain these people in the industry so we don't lose them to another sector, do you think?
Not losing people to another sector is quite of its time, isn't it? Because we are unfortunately right now losing a fair amount of people, let's say, to water and power gen. So we're not going to go economics in this, but stability of the sector, being cognizant of national finances is one thing, but in terms of attracting people, it's showing people that they've got a home in railway irrespective of their background, how they identify, what their heritage might be. So, working class lass from up north actually has a place at the table at fancy meetings in London. So when I talk about heritage, I talk about everything. So whether we're talking to people of colour or just background, showing people that they're welcome, and therefore the whole you can't be if you can't see it. So find your cheerleaders in your company. I was speaking to Ajni today, one of our marketing colleagues, and she's just wonderful. The amount of information she churns out, and she's an active member of our internal EDI committee. She's on the Women at Octavius committee, and externally initiatives such as that we support as well. So whether you're doing it as an individual or part of your organisation, supporting talent attraction, and then as a colleague with industry, supporting talent retention. And then we do have to be mindful that we do still have a very aging workforce population. We have a lot of people who are heading off to retirement, let's say in the next 10 years. So what can we do now to not only kind of headcount match, but make sure that we've got a really good knowledge transfer as well? So get the youngsters in, speaking to the more experienced people, and making sure that the best knowledge and experience is transferred into the younger people, but then at the same time that those younger, different, more diverse perspectives, opinions, experiences are respected as well. Which again is why things like the YRP are really, really good. And then a shout out to Railway Club as well, who I'm supporting, because it goes back to people and helping people.
The YRP I think is a great example. It's been around for a long time now, and they've always had this ethos of passing the baton on to the next generation, and that's what's always kept the YRP so fresh, so exciting, and part of its success. It sounds like Octavius is a real hub and spoke company. You've got loads of different things happening within that organisation to cultivate loads of different stuff. All what strikes me as being yes to win business, because everybody needs paying, and but for a force for good, to do projects and work that you're all really proud of.
Like I say, I think 6 weeks in, and couldn't be happier. It really is. And this is a point I was going to make earlier. I've been lucky that I've always worked in railway in a company I believe in, and I think that's then what makes your job easy. Not easy in a lazy sense, but if you feel like part of something that's bigger than you, that you believe in, it's really easy to represent that company, and vice versa. So again, I do sound like I'm just extolling all the virtues, but I really do believe it. And from before I was even hired, speaking to people from outside of the business who are like, God, they're a really good firm, they're a really good company to work with. Or speaking to customers who are like, really enjoyed having them as a supplier. So it's a nice community to be a part of, and one that I'm proud to be working for as well.
I think what's really telling is the fact that you've only worked there six weeks, but yet you know so much. And before we started recording, you told me then that you'd only worked for the company six weeks. And I'd completely forgotten that during this conversation. And I was almost surprised when you just said then I've only worked for the organisation for 6
Yeah.
months, given everything that you've just talked about.
Yeah.
So I think that shows just how good their onboarding process is.
And day one, Roy, sustainability training. I was so happy.
Yeah. What was the highlight from that then?
It's just the fact that they do put sustainability in every sense, people, planet, prosperity. They put that element of sustainability at the heart of everything. They do really, really good stuff, delivered sensibly, delivered efficiently, delivered to brief, really, really good accessibility designs, for example, but with sustainability and the people weaving all the way through it. Whether you speak to a colleague, a supplier, or a client. So another shout out, Nico, who's our head of supply chain, I can't remember his official title. Bless him, Nico. I've known him a couple of years, so I've tried to sell to him in the past, but I actually shadowed him at a supply chain B2B event the other day, and it was just gorgeous. Sat alongside him, listening to him, talking to all these different suppliers of all these different categories. The ones who he'd already worked with, you could tell he absolutely knew them and had a direct working relationship with the individual sat in front of him. And then as we were walking around the show together, he had a specific list of, let's say, product services that he thinks we're going to have a requirement for in 3, 6, 12 months time. He's proactively building up that supply chain database, let's call it, and proactively building relationships with potential suppliers before it becomes a blocker. So he already knows who's doing what and already has a proper understanding and wanting to have more direct relationships as well. And it's just really lovely to see the way that he handled that. So again, I'm just shouting out to another colleague, but it's again representative of that Octavius way. We've got this thing called the Octavius way, which is what's on the screen behind me. And it's our vision, our mission, and our purpose, which does go through everything.
I think what comes across is you've been able to reference so many people, too many for me to recall right now, at Octavius, including yourself, that have clearly bought into what you're doing. And you just can't make that up. You within 6 weeks, you can't forge that kind of
there's no script here. This is just a being. This is the way of being. I'm very lucky. I'm very happy for where I've landed.
Good. Yeah, it certainly sounds it, and you're certainly seeing it. So that's great to hear. Well, we're almost at the end. The final question I'd like to put to you is, if you were to write a letter to yourself to read on your very first day in rail, right at the start of your journey, what would it say?
So we go back to that young lass who just joined this big, massive industry with, I don't want to sound stereotypical when I say this, but I was rare because I was a younger woman working in sales. I stuck out like a sore thumb at some things, and I do know perhaps that's part of the reason I was hired as well. Richard Carr's a canny character, but that actually it will change, and over the last 2 decades rather, it has changed, but it's changed in a nice way. And we can still joke about the old boys network, and that does still exist. However, I can also say, hand on heart, I've got no end of male allies, yourself included, which is wonderful. But you see the networks of ladies as well in the railway at different stages in their career. And so what I would say to Lucy 19 years ago is, you're going to have a really, really good time. Look forward to it. And I'm hoping I can say that to Lucy in another 20 years' time as well.
Well, what a message to be able to give to yourself on your first day. I think that's, really quite special, the journey that you've had. And it's been lovely listening to you and having this conversation with you. We've met loads of times, but I don't think we've ever spoken at length like this before.
Not like this, no. So it's been lovely. So thank you for having me. I'm probably like, when you messaged me first, I'm like, what, me? So thank you.
Well, no, it's been an absolute pleasure with you. Thanks for jumping on. Thanks for your time, your insight, and everything you contribute to the sector. And keep those hugs coming.
All right then, get ready. Oh, wicked. Thanks, Roy.